We are back, and both of us are outside today.
We are
It looks like
on
you
assignment, man.
got a little bit better of a background than I do, being at the lake.
It's a it's a great backdrop. I'm not down here on a leisure trip though. I'm working. Got a honeydew list, so I am staying busy.
I have no doubt you've got a fishing pole out in the water somewhere. So
I do not, and I have not. However, I've done all the work I can do for today till I go to town tomorrow and get some more materials. So when we're done recording, there will be a line in the water, guaranteed.
I figure. But anyway, Britt, it's been a couple weeks since we've been able to get on this. We've had
Yeah.
different things going on, and of course, turkey season. Turkey season happened right in the middle of that. So uh, sometimes just
Threw you off a little bit.
yeah, sometimes you gotta take a little hunting break here and there. So, but nonetheless, we are back, and like I said, it's been a couple weeks, so this is part 2 to the last episode we did. So, if you need to go back and refresh yourself on that, I would recommend doing that. A lot of good information was put out in that episode, different prophecies and things, and we had a lot of interesting comments come about with that, and that's okay.
Well,
Hopefully,
and that's the whole reason for this episode, is because of that. You've got all this stuff going on. We're showing the prophecies. We've talked about the resurrection. We've talked about proof for the resurrection, and so like we don't want to like avoid hard questions.
right.
We don't want to, like say, oh, well, they don't want to talk about this. They don't want. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to deal with the objections to Easter, objection to the resurrection. Let's just throw them out in the open and get with it. And because we want to look at it from every angle. Like honestly, man. I mean, and I know this is true for you. You don't choose Christianity because you didn't research it.
Right.
It's true. And it's there's so much proof and evidence and everything else. Like it's true, and there's people a whole lot smarter than you and I, and a whole lot smarter than our viewers watching that have investigated this and went, okay, no, this is legit. This is legit.
Right.
And so you don't have to have blind faith. Christ never asked you to have blind faith. That's what I love about it. We are the only religion that you can actually go through and prove that it's true and prove that it's accurate.
And First Thessalonians 5:21 tells us to test everything. Don't just go into it blind. You can test it, and you can know by testing it that it is true, 100%. And so that's what
Absolutely.
we've been doing throughout this whole show. But last episode, we spent some time on some of the prophecies. Today, we're going to be looking at some of the major objections and just kind of to dig into
Mhm.
that, because I know some people's probably even thinking these objections already. So let's just kind of dive right into that. The first one, probably one of the big ones, is the disciples stole the body, so they faked the resurrection. Is basically what is being said here.
Yeah. So, and that's actually recorded in Scripture. It's not something that Christianity tried to hide. It's not something that they didn't deal with, or they actually record it and say, "Hey, here's what people said.
Yeah,
Here's what people said." And you should know that they're trying to make up lies. Which is kind of neat. I think that they recorded that, but it goes back to the whole premise, man. I mean, if the resurrection's true, it can handle it can handle any question. It can handle any objection because truth doesn't run, truth doesn't hide. And so the disciples recorded it and put it head on, man. They said, "Hey, here's what they're saying." So here's the thing, though: if the disciples stole the body, why would they then die and be killed for something they knew was a lie?
yeah. I mean, that's something that would not make sense at all with that objection, because these guys were previously afraid, they were hiding, they were scattered, But then after the resurrection, you see that they are bold and they're very public with their message, and they're willing to suffer because.
Well,
Go ahead.
that's just it, man. I mean, like you go before the resurrection, before Christ was crucified, when he was arrested. I mean, you see them scatter, you see them run, you see them take off and leave, and they're nowhere around, they're nowhere to be found. Um, Peter denies knowing Christ. Like even a little slave girl came up to him and went, "Oh, you were with him?" And he's like, "No, no, no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't." You know, he's scared of even her. Like they don't want any association. They're scared. But after the resurrection, they become very public,
Yeah.
like very, very public. They're very bold. And like they tell you, I can't deny what I know is true. And
Yeah.
so, like, if they stole the body, why would they do that? Why would they be willing to suffer?
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, liars make terrible martyrs, first of all.
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely. Like, there is no way I'm going through torture for something I know is a lie.
Yeah.
And so, like, even if you're willing to, if you've got a group of 11 and one of you is willing to, you think all 11 gonna be willing to die for something that's a lie? There
Yeah.
ain't no way. No way.
I mean, if they made it up, that's the worst exit strategy in history. You can't come up.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Uh, like something had to change there. Like there was too much. Like there is no way that let's do. And we didn't even talk about the fact that for them to steal the body, I mean, you got to think about this. In order to get the body, they're going to have to overpower Roman guards or either sneak past them, roll a stone away, and move a body and steal it, and then hide it and put it where nobody can find it. Because that's a simple thing. If you wanted to just disprove the resurrection, show the body.
Yeah.
Just bring it out.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do. That's all the Romans had to do. It's all the Jews had to do. And so you mean to tell me that 11 guys, fishermen, unschooled guys, were able to sneak past Roman guards or somehow overpower Roman guards and tell them, you better tell, not tell on us. You better not do it.
Yeah.
Like Roman guards knew if they fail this, they die.
Right.
They're on assignment, and they know if we fail this assignment, we die. There's no option there. It's not like you just messed up. We're talking about a whole other realm of things that we don't even understand because we don't live in a society like that. But if they don't man in their assignment, they die.
Yeah.
And so they were terrified when they went back with the news that hey, the stone was rolled away, an angel was there. Well, we scared, we took off running. They were terrified because they knew they were going to die.
Yeah.
And they said, "Listen, just tell everybody they stole them, that they stole them.
Yeah.
Look like idiots. Look, they were happy to look like idiots
Yeah.
rather than tell them."
Um, just going on from that, the next one is another big one that you hear people saying often is that they hallucinated the resurrection. You know, they thought they saw Jesus, but they really were just hallucinating. You
Yeah.
can go to 1 Corinthians 15 and see there that there was 500 witnesses that saw Jesus, not just these 11 guys. So you've got 500 other people that saw him. You think about just hallucination.
Together, all at once, right? 500
Yeah,
people all together at once. He
yeah,
appeared to 500 people. So it wasn't like 500 people individually. You. No, no. Everybody's together.
yeah,
That's
and
huge.
yeah,
Just that right there is huge in itself. Um, because not only, Jesus, when he comes back, he appears to individuals, he appears to group, he does it for 40 days. It's multiple times, multiple people, multiple things. Um, Hallucinations don't happen in groups of 500, man.
no,
Like that, it doesn't happen. Like it's crazy. If it's, think about Bigfoot. Every time there's a Bigfoot sighting, what people say, I was hiking alone. and I couldn't get my camera.
Yeah.
It's always some crazy story. There was one person. We're talking about he appears to 500 at once. Like, it's never like we were in a group and, if it is, it's like we're all lying and we don't care because the people are just going to make fun of us. This is the resurrection, the number of appearances, the number of people he appeared to at once, the cited recordings. Like, there's no way it's a hallucination.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that is just, I don't know how anybody can honestly think that that is an answer, that that's a salute, that's an objection to this.
Right.
Um,
And you even think about like just to kind of go off on a really far limb here, like psychedelic drugs making people have hallucinations. The likelihood of two people having that same hallucination
the
is
same hallucination. Yeah.
it's not even likely at all. But 500 at the same time,
Yeah.
that ain't gonna happen. So, I mean
No.
that objection to me is just that shouldn't even be a thing. You know what I'm saying?
To me, that holds about as much water as saying they had the technology then to have a hologram appear.
Yeah.
I would rather you say that because to me that's more believable than a hallucination. Like
Right.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Another objection is that the gospel accounts contradict each other. So you've got all these differences across the four gospels, and that shows error. So what do you think on that?
How many times, man? Like we've said this over and over. This goes back to contradictions in Scripture. That's what they're saying. There's contradictions. No, there's not. There's no contradiction in Scripture. And there's no contradiction about the resurrection. There's no contradiction about the grave. And we talked, I think, specifically about a couple of those on that episode where we talked about contradictions in Scripture.
Yeah.
People read this. Like anybody who says that that is the case obviously has never had two different people tell them about a ball game
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually
because you
just
hear
thinking.
different stuff, man.
Yeah. Before
You're
you said that you was ready to start this show, I was sitting there watching the baseball game, Harlan and Harlan County. And you you know how they are and they're local people. You get one from each school telling how the ball game went. I mean, you're going to get a whole different account from both of them. But
absolutely.
but at the same
Look,
time,
do they have one from each side calling?
they did actually. They actually did.
Really?
Yeah, I think Mark and Sean were both on the radio
Okay.
calling that game. So
Interesting.
yeah, it was. But you get fans talking about that game. Obviously, you're probably going to have some saying, "Well, the umps were, doing this for this team," but the thing is, the score printed in the paper is going to be the same, regardless if you like it or not. It's the same outcome, and
Every
so
time.
yeah. So with this, you've got different people telling their account of what they saw, what they remember happening, what stuck out to them. It's not a different story. It's the same exact story. It's just from a
It's just
different.
different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a contradiction.
Right.
You still have those same core facts, and they're
Yeah.
the same across every account of it.
Yeah.
That you have an empty tomb, that the women were the first witnesses. Like, why would you even put that in there? And for sure, if you're making something up, why would everybody put the same thing that the women are the first witnesses?
Right.
They couldn't even testify in court at that time.
Yeah.
They were, I mean, so to say that they were the first witnesses is a crazy fact to list, but
Yeah.
every one of them listed.
Yeah.
And then you have the appearances of Jesus, and each one of them talking about that and how he, like, it's the same. It's the same. And in fact, Justin, if everybody told the exact same version, that would be a red flag.
Yeah. That would make it very suspicious.
Yeah, if everybody tells the same thing, that would be like, That sounds a little too neat. And you remember that as a kid, like you get in trouble and you're like, okay, we're going to get in trouble for this, but here's what you got to say. We got to make sure we tell these things,
Yeah,
and you try to get your story straight so that you don't get in trouble.
yeah,
Um, it's obvious they didn't do that. They didn't do that.
right.
They just told what they saw.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So it's like we said, it's the same story. It's just different perspectives. So again,
right.
that's another terrible objection. That really shouldn't hold any weight at all either. The next one is one that you hear probably more people say than any of the others, is that Jesus didn't really die, and they've even put a name on this one called the swoon theory.
Swoon theory.
Yeah,
He faked his death.
yeah, he passed out and
Passed out.
came back
Yeah.
later. But
He was just unconscious.
these Romans, the executioners, they were professionals. They knew what they were doing. They knew when they looked at a body if it was dead or not. They were
Yep.
highly trained. They did this often, so it wasn't a new thing to them. They knew when somebody was dead. But not
They
only
didn't
that,
make mistakes about this.
yeah,
They
not
didn't make
only that,
mistakes about an execution.
you get the spear that was thrust up into his side, going up into his heart, piercing his the heart there, and water and blood coming forth. And scientifically, from a health perspective, doctors and everything that have examined this said that that would prove in itself that he would have been dead. And
Yeah.
then,
And so that was before we had the scientific knowledge of that. Now they knew that. I think the Romans knew that, hey, when you poke it and water comes out and blood and water comes out, then yeah, it's definitely dead. But they didn't know why. And
yeah,
so now, some 2,000 years later, we're able to verify it, and we're able to go through and say, well, medically, here's why that happened, and here's why it's going on, and here's what's took place there. Um, and so we're able to tell that.
yeah. And Pilate even went and verified it himself. It says that he marveled at the fact that he was already dead. So he went and checked it out himself, because a lot of times
Yep.
crucifixions weren't a very quick death. It usually drug on for several hours, if not even days, that it would take somebody to finally die. But Pilate went and verified it himself, showing that he
Well,
was in fact dead.
and the reason for that is most of the time a crucifixion did not take the beatings that Jesus took.
Right.
Like, I mean, the fact that his back was ripped open, you could see his spinal cord, and then you could, like, the muscle was tore off, and the lashes that he took. I mean, it was, he lost more blood before he went to the cross than most people could ever handle.
Yeah.
Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so you got that on top of everything else that he endured. He couldn't even carry his own cross. He'd lost so much blood and so fatigued and so near death at that point.
Yeah.
And it didn't take that long.
Yeah. The next one is one that we actually
Hey,
heard.
before we move on, and what's interesting is they didn't even have to break his bones.
Right.
The two prisoners, they broke their legs.
Yeah.
They broke their legs because they weren't dead yet.
Yeah.
And they broke it that way. They would have to they couldn't breathe. That's the way crucifixion, you suffocate. And so they broke their legs so they suffocate quicker.
Yeah.
But Jesus, when they came to him, they didn't have to break his legs, which is something else that's prophesied. It was prophesied not one of his bones will be broken. So that's another prophecy. We didn't even talk about that one last week, but
Yeah.
that's another one that it just hit me. I said, oh yeah, there's another prophecy that we didn't even talk about, that his
Yeah.
bones wouldn't even be broken. And he couldn't have had no control over that. He
Yeah.
had no control. But just another prophecy pointing to the resurrection,
Yeah.
the
Like I was saying,
crucifixion.
the next one is one that somebody actually argued in the comments. So I'm kind of glad that we got to look at this one. It's just legend over time. This story evolved over time, and this is just a legend. But you look at 1 Corinthians 15, verses 3 through 7, and you kind of get this creed there. and it's very early. It's within years after the
Do
fact.
you have that? Do you have that? Have you
I
got
do
that
not.
looked up, Justin?
Uh-uh.
Um, I actually have it. It says, "For I delivered to you as of first importance what I also received, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he was raised on the third day according to the Scriptures, that he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12. After that, he appeared to more than 500 brothers at one time, most of whom remain until now." Why would you say that unless you wanted them to go ask? You don't believe, go ask them. They're still here. They're still alive. But he
Yeah.
puts it in there. He says, most of them remain until now, but some have fallen asleep. He said, some of them have died, but if there's others, go ask them. They were there, 500.
Yeah.
After that, he appeared to James, then to all the apostles. And last of all, as to one untimely born, he appeared also to me also. So that's a creed, and it's one that it goes through everything that he did, and it is something that is very, very early, within years that they believe this.
Yeah.
Um, Not nearly enough time for a legend to develop.
Yeah. People like to use the argument, and I'm sure you've seen and heard it before, that this was written so much later after the fact of Jesus' death that it could have been a legend, but it wasn't written centuries later. It started immediately. Like we've been going through the book of
Well,
Acts, and these guys
I
that,
started to say this week,
yeah,
this week we're doing Peter's sermon.
yeah,
It's in Acts chapter 2. And in the sermon, Peter says, guys, you've heard about this. Jesus, who you killed. Like he's in Jerusalem.
yeah,
And this same Peter who denied him just a few weeks earlier now looks at him and goes, the same Jesus you killed, but he rose again. And people saw him. People right here saw him. And he lived. And he's living. And,
yeah,
and so it was preached in Jerusalem within weeks
yeah,
after the resurrection.
yeah, yeah. So
Not nearly enough time for a legend.
yeah, I don't know how people have gotten that idea. I guess these TikTok videos and stuff of people, they just believe whatever they hear. But when you actually
Yep,
look at that, and you see the Book of Acts, that they were preaching that message so soon, and even here in Corinthians, that was basically Paul saying, "Look, if you don't believe me, go ask these other guys. They were there,
that's it.
they saw it, they're still alive. Go talk to them if you don't believe me." So, I mean, there's no way to think of this as a legend. It happened way too soon,
Way too soon.
after the crucifixion and resurrection. So, just to kind of think back on some of the things that we've seen here, again, if the body is stolen, you've got these disciples that are liars. If this is a hallucination, then group psychology is impossible. If it's a legend, you know, it couldn't have even been a legend because it's too early. And if he's not
Yeah,
dead, then Rome failed. And so
$100%.
none of these things hold up at all. You don't have
No,
to just believe the resurrection. You got to explain it, and you see that that Jesus did in fact die. It's proven. There's nothing. Nobody can prove that he. I'm trying to think of how to word this the best way. It's 100% proven that he was here, that he did die, and that he rose again. There, there's no way of looking around it. People want to try to fight and argue against it, but I mean, the facts are there.
the
Every
facts are
period.
there, and there's enough evidence for anybody who is willing to believe. It's
Yeah,
only those people who are just adamantly rejecting. And I can't, we can't fix that. You can't fix that. I can't fix that. That's a heart condition. I hate it, but the reality is the tomb is still empty.
yeah,
That's the problem. That's the problem.
yeah,
And at some point, man, people got to stop avoiding that. because it sets up a dividing line, and you have to answer. You have to answer, what am I going to do? The fact that the tomb is empty,
Yeah.
the fact that it's empty. And there's only two options: you accept him or you reject him.
Yeah.
And so the evidence is there. Um, I mean, it's not just believable, Justin. It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
It's there. Like it, and I'm going to keep preaching it as long as I have breath in my lungs, man. Like it is something that you can't avoid. You can't just walk away from. You can't ignore it. There's too much evidence. Um, and so I don't understand how people want to push back on that. And I hope we've covered all the objections. It's all the ones that we could think of that we saw in the comments that people were talking about. But like, and we've gone through them, and I hope we've gone through them with open eyes. I want to do that. I want to go through them with open eyes. I want to push back where we can push back and challenge what we believe in. It. But the reality is, there's so much evidence. There's so much evidence.
Yeah. Our goal is not to just throw a bunch of facts out there that we personally believe. We want you to look at this stuff for yourself. We say it pretty much every episode. Our challenge to you is to go and do the searching yourself. Don't just listen to us or anybody else for that matter. Go and actually look at it for yourself. I saw a thing just the other day, Britt, that was so interesting. It was all of these famous atheists, and these were like atheists that were scientists and lawyers and detectives and everything else that set out on a path to disprove Christianity. And what ended up happening is they all gave their lives to Christ. And I mean, anytime you do that search
It's
with
There's a
honesty, yeah,
huge number of people that have done that, and it didn't just start modern day. Jesus' own brothers did not believe him
yeah,
until he rose again. And when your brother predicts his death, burial, and resurrection and does it, you believe him.
yeah,
You trust him. And James became an early leader in the church. His brother James
yeah,
was his half brother.
yeah. So again, don't just don't just listen to this and just start criticizing. Go and actually look at it for yourself. See the information, read it for yourself. Don't just trust us. We're just two guys. But go and do the research yourself, and I promise you, I promise you, you will end up at Jesus, and you'll see 100% that he is exactly who he said he was.
100%.
But my
Um,
suggestion on top of that would be do it quickly. Don't wait.
don't wait.
Don't put it off, because we never know. None of us are guaranteed our next breath, and so while you have
Absolutely.
time, go and do it instead of wasting the rest of your evening watching TikToks or reels or whatever it is you do. Spend some time just actually researching and see where you end up. You got anything you want to add, Britt?
No, I was going to say, we didn't even talk about one of the greatest skeptics ever, who was actually a persecutor of the church, who was actually thought he was on mission from God to kill Christians until he had his encounter, was Paul,
Yeah,
the Apostle Paul. And so that's another one that changed his whole life. I mean, and that's the thing, man. When you're confronted with Jesus, it changes your life. And so that's my prayer is for anybody who's watching this who doesn't know and is not a Christian, is that we don't sit here and do this to argue. We're not doing this to berate anybody we're just laying out facts. We're just laying out facts.
yeah,
And so I hope that you will openly and honestly investigate it. Um and let's see what happens.
yeah. But through the week, as you watch this and listen to it on different platforms, if you've got any questions that you would like for us to take time and try to answer on the show, send them to us. We're always open to um, to your all's questions and want to help you. That's what our whole goal is in this podcast, is to help you grow in your faith. So if you've got any questions, send them to us, and we will answer them as quickly as possible. But we hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we will be looking forward to talking with you again as quickly as possible. As always, don't forget our partnership with Top Fitness. If you use the code IRON Amper, what did you call that thing again?
The and symbol, it's ampersand.
Yeah. Iron, the and sign, fire. Um, you can receive 20% off at Top Fitness on anything that you want from there. They've got pre-workout, protein powder, apparel, all kinds of different stuff. Totally recommend them. Great Christian-based company. So go be sure to check them out. But for now, we will see you guys next time.